had friends and family reach out to me and ask me how they can get started with gardening. They've seen some of the photos I've shared and some of the videos that I've recorded and put on Facebook and stuff like that. And I realized that I needed to create a place to put all this information. So just a little bit of background on all this. So my wife and I decided about 1.5 years ago, last spring actually, that we wanted to try growing our own food. We wanted to save money, we wanted to live healthier, and we just wanted to try it. So whenever we bought this house here, it was just a blank grass yard, like a typical Oklahoma urban lot with Bermuda grass. And when we started small. We started with 2 garden beds. I bought the Square Foot Gardening book, and I started learning everything I could about gardening. I watched hours of YouTube videos of other people doing this exact same thing, where they showed how they did it. And that's part of why I want to do this too. I want to help share the ideas that I've come across, some of the things that I've come up with, and just help show that it's not hard to grow your own food. And it's something that I found very enjoyable. It's the place that I come out to whenever I need a break, and whenever I need to relax, or if I'm stressed out, or even if I just want to come out here and have fun. I come out here all the time. Whenever we first started gardening, one of the first things that we tried was spinach. And I never knew that I liked spinach until I had it out of the garden. And anytime I've had it anywhere else, it kind of has a bland flavor, and it didn't do much for me. But the first time that I had a spinach leaf out of the garden, I actually liked it. And I realized that there's something to the idea of growing your own food. It's not just about saving money, it's about the quality of the food as well. Whenever you grow something in your own garden, you're not taking any shortcuts. You're making sure that it's getting all the right nutrients, that plant's being taken care of, and that sometimes doesn't happen in commercial operations. Anyway, the end result is that it tastes better. So on everything that we've grown, when we try it out of the garden, it tastes dramatically different than it does when you buy it from the store. And that's just one of the benefits that we found from gardening. So we're going to start by shooting a tour where I walk around and I just kind of show you everything that we have going right now. If you see anything out here that you see interesting or that you want to know more about, just let me know in the comments, or send me a message, and I'll shoot a video on that. So I'm going to start by detailing how we started one garden bed. So I'll talk about how we laid down cardboard on the ground, why we did that. I'll talk about building the boxes, what you put in the boxes, how you know what to plant, when to plant it, all of these type of things that when I first started gardening, I didn't know any of it. And I did a lot of research, and I want to help other people and share what I've learned, so that it's not so hard for other people to get started. And then after I'm done with those, I'll show the irrigation system that I built. I'll show how I built that. I'll record a video on the rainwater collection system that we have over here. I'll show a video about how I built that. I'm also going to talk about how we involve the kids out here. So it's really important to me that the kids understand why we do all of this, and that they participate in it, and that they enjoy participating in it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do that, the type of things that the kids do out here, what they like to do, and I think they want to shoot some videos showing what they do too. So basically all of these things that we've learned over the past 1.5 years, we're going to share here. So I'll start off by talking about these gardens here that are on legs. So the reason why these are up above on legs is because initially I built the gardens down here on the ground. And I built them in the spring going into summer, and they got sun all day. And then I quickly learned that I needed to know more about how the sun works, because in the winter, as you see, it is now shaded, so I wasn't able to grow anything in the winter. So I built these beds that are here that are raised up in the air so that they get sun during the day in the winter. So here we have lettuce, and this bed is mostly all lettuce with a straggler broccoli that kind of planted itself, and I let it go. So what we do is we plant very close together, and then I harvest kind of here and there and make a space for a plant to kind of grow, and then I eat the stuff I harvest, and then I come through and plant whenever things look like more need to be planted. So that's kind of how I handle planting greens and stuff of that nature. So I'll keep walking through here, and I still have some stuff left from the summer. We've had a crazy fall here in Oklahoma, and we really haven't had a fall. It's been summer pretty much. So we still have peppers and tomatoes and everything else going. This is another bed very similar to the one that I have over there. And I've got kale, lettuce, spinach kind of mixed all throughout. And what we do is we just kind of come through here and we cut a little patch of it every day and we throw it in a burrito or in a salad or kind of whatever we're having at the time. And I'm actually in the process of covering them for the winter. Whenever you cover them like this with a simple hoop house, you can actually grow this stuff year-round in Oklahoma. Well, not necessarily in the summer, it gets too hot, but you can grow over the winter. That's what I did last year. We had lettuce, kale, spinach all winter. So I've got another bed of lettuce and spinach here, and a bed of kale here. So one thing I wanted to mention is that whenever you do things like building a bed that's up on legs, you're not really cooperating with nature very well, because this isn't where plants are meant to grow, up here, you know, off the ground. So there are downsides to this, is what I mean to say. So in the summer, you have to water more often. It tends to bake things that are in here. So if you're gonna have a bed like this, just make sure in the summer you plant things that can handle it. So in Oklahoma, for example, southern cowpeas, the bean variety, okra, things that like the heat. So because it does get much hotter up here than it does on the beds that are down on the ground. So we have these beds here these three here are all kind of copies of each other. So it's a mix of peppers. And I've got all different varieties of peppers. You see I've got some here, and looks like they're pretty much dying off for the year. We've had some cold nights recently. Here's a decent one back here, I can show you. Right here, stuff like that. So I plan on pretty much one of each pepper that I could find around the city, and whenever we have quesadillas or burritos or salads, we just chop one of each up and throw it in, and we're getting a mix of all sorts of different types of ingredients. So you can see here too, we have beans, and these are beans that I've allowed to go all the way past the stage of being green. So if you look over here, these are beans that are green beans. Green beans, that's how you eat them. You cut them up and you saute them or whatever, and that's how you eat them. Well, dried beans are just green beans that are a little bit older. So you can see the sun has dried them out, and now I have, I'll get it open here. See, I have these little dried beans. So yeah, I feel like that's one of those things that when I learned about, I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. I should have known that before now, but I didn't. So anyway, we're letting these go to dry, and we're gonna see how many we have off of that. So throughout here also I have things like basil, I have catnip, I have other herbs and stuff. That's just kind of part of what I do to help with pests. Whenever you have different smells planted throughout the garden, you detract pests from coming to the plant that they like to eat, because that's how they find the plants that they want. So, you know, a pest of a green bean is gonna try and smell it out. If you have more powerful smells next to it, then it's not gonna be able to find it. I looked up all sorts of different ways to trellis tomatoes, and I think I may do it different next year actually, but I'll show you what I did this year. So I took T-posts, they're 8-foot T-posts, I got them from Tractor Supply, and then this is just hardware mesh. I got it at Home Depot for I think $6 or $7, and I just zip tied it to the T-post, and then you wind the tomatoes up the trellis, and it's worked well. I haven't had any issues with high winds or anything like that blowing it over, but I think next year I might do something to be a little more efficient with my spacing. So through here, I've got kind of just all sorts of things planted throughout. So I've got some lettuce over here, some cilantro, some peas growing up the back wall here. This is some okra that's still holding on from the summer. Beans through here, basil, more kale, just kind of things that are planted throughout. And that's an important part of all this, is just making sure that you don't plant a whole bed of one thing, because the thing that wants to eat that one thing is going to find it very, very easily. Whereas if you have all these different things planted throughout, then it's just a way to keep your pests down without having to spray all the pesticides and all that stuff down. So over here more is just more kind of basil and peppers and stuff like that, and it's going to be cold enough soon where the stuff's going to die, so I'll be ripping all this out, and I'll be planting some new stuff here possibly, or maybe just putting it to bed for the winter. This is something that my daughter saw at a nursery back in the summer, and she loved it and had to have it. And at first I was like, man, you're going to take up my growing space, but now I love it that it's here. It just kind of adds some beauty to the garden, and it brings in some pollinators, and every time I see it, it reminds me of her. So do stuff like that with your garden. Don't make it all food. I mean, have some fun with it. Let your kids plant something if they want to plant something. Let them experience it their own way. The key to doing all this without without spending a lot of money, is just being resourceful. So I had some tires here. I had to have the tires replaced on my truck last year. And instead of throwing the tires out, I just built a little bed out of them. I just threw them on the ground and threw some soil into it. So this is where I had my squash and my pumpkins and stuff like that vine out and go everywhere. So instead of having it over in one of these gardens where it kind of takes up the space, I planted over here and I let it kind of vine out wherever it wants to go, and it looks pretty cool too. So I learned another thing about the sun, and it really is just about paying attention to weather and to temperatures. So in Oklahoma, it's in the middle of summer. I've measured it with a laser, measure temperature gun, and the temperature out here, out in the main area, is about 30 degrees hotter than it is right here. Well, that's important because some plants don't grow well whenever it gets too hot. Lettuce, for example, spinach, cilantro, all these things that we love to eat in salads and stuff, they don't tolerate the heat, and they become really bitter and they just don't taste very good. So I built these beds over here because they're shaded in the afternoon. The shed shades it out so that it's not near as hot here, and I'm able to grow stuff more during the summer that I wouldn't be able to normally. Over this way, this is my compost area. So the soil that fills these beds is what's called Mel's Mix. Square Foot Gardening is a book that I first read when I got into this gardening stuff that kind of inspired me. So the Mel's Mix that he recommends is 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 vermiculite, and then 1/3 compost. So vermiculite and peat moss are things that you buy in the store, and then compost is something that you make yourself. So there are a lot of different ways to make compost. I'm not going to go too much into depth right now. I'll shoot a video over that later. But basically, you just combine different organic ingredients into a pile, and you want to get as many different types of ingredients as you can. So some examples of things that I mix together are fall leaves that fall on the ground, coffee grounds. These pumpkins actually here that you see are all from a neighborhood that had a Thanksgiving or a Halloween setup, and they were going to throw them out. Well, I took them in so I can just smash them up and throw them into here as the compost. So I get coffee grounds from Starbucks, 7-Eleven as well, eggshells, I get wood chips, just anything in the garden that I pull up that isn't diseased I throw into here now. But it makes this really rich black plant food, and it's what I've used to power my garden since I began. I've done this all organic. I haven't bought any fertilizer outside of fish fertilizer, which is something that I'll talk about in another video. But so as I continue this way, this is another garden that I built in the summer so that I could have lettuce and spinach. It's a lot cooler over here. And I'll take a moment to talk about these white PVC pipes I have going across all the gardens. So in the summer, I quickly realized that it is very difficult to keep up with watering in Oklahoma because you're having to water every 2 or 3 days, especially when we have the stretches of 100-degree temperatures. So I built this. So this is just PVC pipe going along the back here, and then these arms connect to, and I have holes that are drilled every 3 inches that are the smallest drill bit I have. I believe it's 1/16. And so I just drilled holes every 3 inches, and I hook up the water hose to it, and I let it run until I know it's good and saturated. And also you can see I've drilled some holes at the end here so I can water these containers I have outside. But just every little thing you can do to make it easier for yourself to manage all this, the more likely you are to continue it. Another way that I make my own fertilizer. So the compost that I showed you earlier. So essentially what you do to make compost tea, this is what I'm making here, and I'll shoot another video where I talk more in depth about this. But the idea is you take some of the compost, or you can take worm castings, and I'll go into that later too. But basically you take this nutrient-rich stuff and you throw it in water here, and then you run air down into it for 2 or 3 days, and you let it kind of sit and bubble. And basically it's like you're brewing beer, except it's beer for the plants. So anyway, and that's what I use for my fertilizer. So as I continue through here, this is my larger rain collection system. So these are IBC totes here that I got on Craigslist for $75. Ignore the wood. I'm in the process of building a cover to go over this to make it look nicer. But basically you just wrap the IBC totes in black plastic to prevent the sun from turning the water gross. And then I have it hooked up to my gutters here on the house. This is all, again, just PVC pipe I bought from Home Depot or Lowe's or River, and connected it up to the gutter here. And what this is a first flush system. So the water that the first water that comes through the system accumulates in here. And this is, I believe, 20 or 30 gallons. I used to know off the top of my head how many it was, but something like that. So the dirty water, essentially, because between rains, there's stuff that accumulates up on the roof and all that. And then when it first rains, it comes down into here first. Well, whenever this fills up, there's a bottle sitting inside of here that floats up here, seals it off, and then the water is diverted over into here. And I'll shoot a video that kind of goes into detail on this, but this is my rain collection system, and we can fill up our watering cans from here. And the idea is next year to hook this system up to all my irrigation that I have for the beds out here. So I have an RV water pump that I'm going to be hooking up to here that is run from a solar panel with a battery and all that. So that's a project for next year. So the last thing I want to show you, this is my daughter's garden here, and these are my daughters. And they got to decide whatever they wanted to, they got to pick whatever they wanted to go into this garden here. And that's why it's the prettiest garden we've got out here. So, Brooklyn, what's your favorite plant we have?
Snapdragon.
Snapdragon? Well, why is it your favorite?
Because if you pick a snapdragon off, it's like a puppet.
Puppet show, tell me what you're talking about.
See, you put your finger right here,
Yeah.
and you hold the bottom, and it's like a dragon.
Yeah, like a little dragon, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Hey, Daphne, which one's your favorite plant?
The white one.
What's that called? Do you know? Is that a Dusty Miller?
Yeah.
Why is it your favorite plant?
Because it looks like there's tiny snowflakes.
Yeah, it does. Mary, which one's your favorite plant? This one or that one? This one? You just like the dirt? Which one's your favorite plant, huh? You see these flowers? You see these?
There. Or this one. She likes that one.
Like that one?
Hey.
That's pretty. That one? Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm going to continue to shoot videos and show you guys the things I'm working on, and show you the details on some of the stuff that I showed, and show how I did it, and talk a little bit about why I'm doing this, and I hope that this has helped someone out there. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video, or leave a comment on any one of the social media places where we are. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Hi everyone, welcome to See to See. We're gonna do this water.
Whoa!
It's-
Dad!
He's okay.
What happened?
I found that when I first started this, it wasn't necessarily, if there's anything that, there's a hawk flying over there. It came right over here. That hawk came right over here. Look at it. It was like right above y'all's head. Y'all missed it.
It's trying to eat us.
You hear him? You hear him? It's my buddy. Get your hair right. Gotta get your hair right.